On today's special edition of Association Chat, we're talking with Corey Brown about community. So, community is such a huge thing in this world today. How do you bring people together? Association Chat is fascinated with this topic. I'm fascinated with this topic, and I'm hoping that you're watching this because you're fascinated with this topic too. And so today, we have the great opportunity to talk with Corey Brown. Corey Brown is a lot of things, lots of fascinating things, but what we're going to explore today is this wonderful community that he's created called No Treble. Corey, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Yeah. So talk to us about No Treble. What is No Treble? When did it start? Who goes there? Tell us everything.
Okay. So I'll make the story as short as possible. I started, my parents were very influential in this. When I was very, very young, my dad bought one of those killer 70s stereo systems, brought all these records home. And I don't know why, but he cranks the bass knob to 10, like where you feel the bass. You feel it. Yeah.
I like your dad.
And so I remember, I was always curious about music. I was always drawn to music at a very young age, but that resonated with me. And so 7, 8 years later, I was in 5th grade, and they said, I want to join strings. And it was just music. I was like, I'll sign up.
So your dad, he is this massive record collector. He's turning the music up to 10 and the bass up to 10, and you're feeling this throughout. Okay, yeah. So what then?
So what I didn't know, because I was 3, 4, 5 years old, somewhere in there, when I was 10, the teacher came down to our classroom. I was 5th grade, and she said, who wants to join strings? And I was like, music, I'm going. And so she had us try all the instruments, the violin, the viola, the cello, and then the bass. And when I plucked the bass string, I was like, that's it. That is it. And so I was like, give me that. And so, that's been my love since like as far back as I can remember. And so I became a bass player. And, then fast forward even more, in 1999, 2000, I was like, I want to do something for the bass playing community. I want to build an online magazine. But at that time, it would have taken a lot more. We didn't have the tools that we have now, and I'm thankful that I waited, but it was a certain amount of procrastination too. So It took me about 10 years from that point to actually do it. And but I was thinking about it, planning, thinking about what I was going to do eventually, And so, with WordPress coming out, WordPress becoming a full-fledged content management system, I was like, well, there's the tool. It's free.
Right.
I can do anything I want with it. And social media was just really getting traction. And I said, well, all the ingredients are here, and it's time to do that.
So when a lot of people want to start communities, and they look at setting something up. Maybe they start on a WordPress site. Maybe they start somewhere else. But you still have to get the people there.
Right.
You still have to get that initial group together. How did you go about doing that?
I think, first, so I've been doing web stuff for a long time, an architect. I'm always trying to fit, how do these things fit together? How do they connect to each other? And so the first step was I didn't want to not own my platform. So, having my site on WordPress means it doesn't matter if Facebook goes away or MySpace goes away. I'm not building my empire on somebody else's platform. And so if people get bored with it or it dies or whatever, I'm going to continue on. So that was the first big key.
I mean, that's a huge key, by the way. I feel like we should call that out because a lot of people don't, make that choice and later live to regret it. So that was a good decision early on that you made.
Yeah. And the second thing was, okay, so this is an island. It could be a deserted island. So, I'm not really a developer, but I have a lot of development friends, and I said, I need something that connects the WordPress site to all the social platforms and to push our content out and to, because it's all about content.
Right.
Really, it's all about content. And then the conversations, once you have enough people, can start happening. So we built these tools, and so, a story would go live on No Treble, and, surprisingly enough, when No Treble started, MySpace was still a viable thing, thanks to MySpace Music. So there's a lot of bass players on MySpace.
Which is a big win, because you have your musicians that are already congregating on the spot.
Right.
So that played into it.
Absolutely. Okay. And so we pushed our content out to MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and had an email and had RSS feed for the real nerds that have a RSS reader.
Yeah.
And so, that was, it was partly just for convenience, right? To say, okay, a story, we could be sitting here, a story goes live, I don't have to go push a button or push 10 buttons to make it go out to the social web. So having that automation built in was really key. Wow. So those were the kind of the two big ingredients for what I wanted to do. And by virtue of I think MySpace is a great example of the story. So they're gone. Or like that version of MySpace is gone.
Right.
And we didn't care.
It didn't matter at that point.
I mean, we lost the traffic that MySpace was creating, but people tend to go somewhere else. And as long as we keep, watching the landscape, it doesn't matter,
Are you always doing that? Are you always watching what the trend is for where people are going? And
it's interesting because Facebook's dominance, they just basically took over. I mean, they're like, for social, that's it. Google is search. There is no competition. And so, it's been hard to watch what's happening with Facebook, but
indeed it has.
I remember coming up. Who's actually coming up and is going to take over?
Yeah, because there isn't anything that's sort of providing that same sort of community piece. I mean, you have different types of entertainment, you have different types of interaction, but that same type of engagement where you're connecting people, and building it for the purposes that you have with No Treble, it really isn't the same, right?
Right.
So that's a really big question. But you do have a large Facebook group that's very active right now and still very active.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was very late for us. Where I saw. I was kind of lamenting the fact that our Facebook page used to be a great community by itself. It still is. It's just a shell of what it used to be because Facebook has done everything they can to deprioritize Facebook pages in the feed.
Yeah.
So we have 200 and something thousand fans who liked our page at some point in time, but the diminishing returns as they've been tweaking the algorithm and really pushing page value down. So less and less is showing up in the feed of these 220,000 people. So
220,000 people. Well, let's just talk about the scale there, because say you have a successful group out there. I mean, okay, so we're all trying to build community. We're hoping that we end up with something as active as what No Treble has, where you have 220,000 community members who love what you're doing, have opted in. How do you scale belonging? How do you scale engagement? How do you reach out, Corey, you and the people who are helping to support and move this along? How do you serve as the baseline for your own community, where you're moving
the baseline?
Yeah, you know it. Where you're moving that community along.
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the story, actually, because when I was a kid, to do something that I've been able to do now, to reach this audience, would have cost a fortune, like millions of dollars. Have a cable channel or have a newspaper or a magazine. You think about to reach the audience that we can reach now for next to nothing. Just hard work, good tactics, good strategies. And so what I like to tell everybody is the web has leveled the playing field. Small companies become big companies on the web, and there's so much opportunity. And what's beautiful about this to me is, and the reason I think a lot of bass players are still on Facebook, is a lot of them are marketers themselves, right? They have to, they're marketing their music, they're marketing their bands, their tours, their merch, whatever. And so what I decided to do was that leveling the playing field kind of mentality is that if a print magazine, they're limited by the page count, which is really limited by how many ads they sold. So if a print magazine dedicates anything to an unknown, and I mean not the super famous people they're going to put on the cover, it's very limited in what real estate they have in that. In a web magazine, we don't have a page constraint. Yeah. And so from day one, we have a number of opportunities for our readers to be featured on No Treble. And so,
how are they featured?
One of them is called Reader Spotlight.
Okay.
It's an interview questionnaire, and they answer it, and we choose from that. We get a lot of submissions, and we choose, and we do one, every week, and it's great because, there's all these famous bass players, and then there's, this person.
Yeah, you see your name
wherever.
alongside, right. You see your face alongside, you're like, oh, yeah. It's me and the, bassist from Metallica or whatever.
Right,
yeah,
right. And so, I see it as such a win-win because I got a piece of content, it's an interesting story. It's something, there's a lot of people that are worth talking about and worth listening to that aren't famous. And that's, the web has exposed these people to us. The stars on YouTube, the stars on SoundCloud, the stars, the record labels aren't picking them. The world is,
Right.
And so, there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of people that are worthy of being talked about. They just don't have the big label or the big, following yet. And what I see happening is we do that, and I start to see the people that are longtime readers start connecting, and they email me. They say, I got 500 friend requests, and they're all bass players. And so
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So, okay, so what are we gleaning from this? We're hearing that if you put your member of your group, member of your community in the spotlight, give them a chance to shine, even if they're not the person that has the name that everybody already knows, that helps connect them. And then that's building what? That's building loyalty. That's opportunity for other people who say, that could be me.
Absolutely. The emails I get from the people, because we email them to let them know they've been featured, and I mean it's my favorite thing in the world. And I don't want them to feel like we did them a big favor, because what I tell people is, if you're doing something worthwhile, you deserve all the credit. We're just featuring you. It's a lot harder. It's easy for us to do that. It's hard for you to build your craft and all that. And so I don't want it to be like an obligation, but there is that there's a connection there, and there's they're very grateful, that we did that. And so that's new for a lot of people. That's new because, like I said, there was a print magazine for us bass players that was around a very long time, and it was the only one. But people weren't getting featured in there.
Right. It's only the people that have already made it.
Right.
So okay. So with No Treble, you have people who are members who have the opportunity to see their names, see themselves featured next to famous bassists where people do know their names. What are some other ways that people can be engaged or sort of get to feel like they're part of this bigger community?
Well, the other thing, a lot of it's around editorial, because we're really about content. And so the other thing is we do a daily video, and we actually don't produce that video. We curate great bass playing videos from YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And so, we feature a video every day, every afternoon.
So wait. Okay, so do you, does somebody go through and actually look and find, or do they get submitted, somebody tip you off, or how do you guys find these?
Both ways. So we're all, myself and all of our contributors, we're all bass nerds, so we're on YouTube anyway.
So you're watching it anyway, and you're like, oh, this is really cool. I've got to get this person on.
I could pick 5 out a night that I really like that we haven't featured, and so I basically a lot of us do it, but yeah, it's a daily video, and so again, it's another opportunity I see videos that, I find it has maybe 50 watches so far, or 200 watches, and we, feature it, and then tomorrow it's 10,200, and
Wow.
and again, what a win-win, because it was content we didn't have to create.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to create a video every day. I don't have time.
No, but you're able to go out and pull that in. And then those people are probably feeling discovered if they haven't already been a part of your community.
Absolutely.
Do you ever find people like that where it's like, hi, come to know, like, we're No Treble. We found you. We want to feature your video.
Well, they see it before we could even, I mean, if they've submitted it and we feature it, we email them back. But, they're like, what happened last night, to my stats, and they look into it.
I went from 2 views to 50 million.
Yeah, and so they see, it was embedded on No Treble, and then they reach out to us a lot of the time. And so, and again, it's another thing where our readers see these videos, then they, again, seek these people out. And so I go to this trade show every year in January called NAMM, and it's a big music conference. And I end up bumping into all these people. They're like, you featured me back in, and I almost can't remember because we do it every day,
Oh, wow.
And it's, or I've told people, or I've had people tell me, I've become a fan of this person, that person. I bought all the records, because I saw them for the first time on No Treble. And that's part of love, more than anything.
I mean, you'd have to. So how old is No Treble now?
Turned 10 in May.
10.
Just
10
like
years.
Association Chat.
I know, just like Association Chat. It's a lucky 10.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I just think it's amazing because it must feel like a reunion every time you go and you're running into people from the community who are telling you stories like that. It's like this feeling of family. Do you ever feel pressure on how you can serve that family or serve that community more or better?
Every day.
Really?
Yeah. And so, I have a pretty demanding day gig.
I know, I've noticed.
Very important work we're doing, and so, I have to pick my times of the day, and I get very early, and I try to spend as much time on No Treble as I can every day. It's certainly not a full-time gig, but I read every comment on Twitter, on Facebook, on the pages themselves. I look at the stats. I look at how much time what's the average time somebody read a column, because that's important. Clicks aren't the most important thing. You could have 100,000 people clicking on the article, everybody hates it.
Right.
So I read the comments, and I look at the time on the page, and I see, if it's a 9-minute video embedded, and I see the average is 10 minutes or whatever, or 8 minutes, then I know, okay, this is good.
It's compelling. How long are they staying with it? I mean, and I think it's important to note, and I'm sure we'll have this in the show notes and everything, that your day gig, I mean, you're masterful at website design. You're masterful at the user experience, at understanding how people are going in and actually interacting with their technology. So it's not like you're just throwing these different metrics that you're paying attention to, out in the blue from nowhere. Right. You actually are coming at this from a pretty informed, knowledgeable place.
This is the best lab I could have. That was the unexpected byproduct. It's an incredible lab because at this scale, we get over 300,000 visits a month. We see what's happening. At a bigger scale, like it's easier to see, what's happening with Facebook or what's happening with SEO, with Google, because Google's changing. So it's like you have to adapt constantly. But because I have this lab running in the background, I can tell our clients, hey, this is something you should look into because, if you're relying on this or relying on that, you're going to see a decline. And, it's been tremendous for that. And, what's amazing to me is how much of our code library initially came out of No Treble. Like all the things that we did to make it, do all the things that we needed to do ended up being the catalyst for our code library that we use today to build association sites or business sites or whatever. And it's cool because I see associations as being, you can replace the word bass player with whatever.
Right, exactly.
It's not, they're going to care about different things, obviously, but the psychology of being connected and being featured and wearing this, the T-shirt or getting the sticker on your laptop or whatever, those kind of ingredients that made No Treble what it is, I see, and that's what I love about it is, it's a lab on not just the code, but the tactics and the way you connect everything and connect people.
I love all of this. I think that this is gold for anyone who manages a community, for anyone who thinks about how do you make members feel like they belong, because what you are doing it started for you as a passion, and it's become something that's become a very complicated passion because you have other people, lots of other people involved.
Yeah.
And over a 10-year period of time, you've had to make a lot of decisions as you've watched platforms change, as you've watched the way that people want to engage change. So if you had advice to give to those association leaders who are running communities now, based on what you're seeing, trends that you're seeing, and how they're impacting not just your clients, but also No Treble, what would you say?
Well, I think, so looking back, we didn't know where the audience was going to resonate, where are they?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we picked Facebook, Twitter, of course MySpace, like I said, email and RSS. And we didn't highlight any one over the other because we wanted to see what are people going to pick.
Yeah.
And I was very much a Twitter guy, and I was very not a Facebook person. I did not like Facebook. So I worked super hard, and we had like 400 Twitter followers, in a month. And I looked over our Facebook page, which nobody ever even looked at or touched. We had 2,500 fans.
Wow.
And I said, okay.
It's not my choice anymore.
The audience has spoken.
Right.
And if I spend any more time on Twitter and not, focus on Facebook, I'm an idiot. So we did. And so that, that quickly became 10,000. It was just, it was scaling. And so, the way we primed that pump was, I'm a big sticker guy.
Yeah.
I love stickers. I can't get enough of them. And so we did a No Treble sticker, and we did a sticker giveaway. You send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we'll send you a sticker. And actually, in the early days, I would write on an index card a little note to the person, like address it to them and stick it in with them. And one of the things I said in the note, we later printed them, but personalized them, because it got too many, was when you get it, send us a picture after you stick it on whatever you stick it on.
Yeah.
And so we started posting those, and they were posting them, and people were like, how do I get one? How do I get one? How do I get one? We put the link to the page to how to get one, and I mailed 20,000 stickers, and
it was probably more spent on postage than you like. It was that within a year.
Yeah, but it's self-addressed stamped envelope.
Oh,
so
true.
I didn't pay
Okay,
it,
so you're not doing.
So I paid for
that.
the sticker.
Right.
And whatever mass amount of time it took to.
One could argue it'd be worth it though.
Oh, it
I
totally
mean, because they're sharing those pictures.
Yeah, and it was our logo.
Right.
The sticker was our logo.
Right.
And so, I mean, I have so many pictures on my phone and my computer of like I said, we sent out 20,000 of them. And the problem was
20,000.
people outside the United States couldn't send us a self-addressed envelope because it had to be U.S. postage for us to mail it.
Well, so what happened then?
Start an online store.
So you got the merch store.
Because all of them said, hey, I would send you money to send me one. I can't send you a stamp. So start an online store with stickers and T-shirts. And I'm like, oh, I'm monetizing this for the first time, and so, and
Have you had sponsors before that, or?
Not in those days.
Not in those days. So the merch was actually, this was when you were monetizing it.
Right.
At the very beginning. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
so that
it was probably
a
year or two in. I was self-funding it, but it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to not self-fund it, but the other thing was I was amazed because our T-shirts and our stickers were all our logo. I mean, everybody's buying our logo to wear around, and I go to concerts and see people wearing it.
How long had No Treble been around when that happened? When you started the merch store?
A year or two.
A year or two. So that gives people enough time to begin to, you're collecting all of these images that people are sending in, and they're beginning to identify each other too, right?
Yeah.
You know, with those, that's beautiful. It's a testimonial, a visual testimonial at the same time as they're sharing with other people,
Right.
at the same time as it's this common identifier.
Right.
So you see somebody else with that, and it's like, oh, we're part of the same tribe.
Right, and I think that's the big key, is they felt like they belonged to something. And you know, I think, again, that's not limited to any, you know, it's not limited to bass players for sure. You know, people want to be connected, and so, you know, whether you're a marketing director or a UX designer or whatever, you know, you want to be part of the club. You want to be, I mean, it's the whole reason associations exist, right? Member-based ones that
bring people together.
And so to, you know, I think stickers are fun. People have told me, not everybody likes a sticker. I've given out a lot of stickers to non-musicians for different things, and I see them all over cubicles and offices, and you know, because you know, it's like anything. It's, you know, the T-shirts we wear, the printed graphic T-shirts. You know, we're advertising ourselves in what we wear. You know, this is my band that I love, or this is the brand that I love, or you know, I love Apple computers, or whatever. You know, we're doing that, and you know, but what we are, what we do, is a big part of that story. So that's a big, you know, finding ways to. It's not just pushing content out to social. It's actually making it fun and having it amplified. You know, so the pictures were amplifying our story out to other bass players, and then they wanted in. They wanted the sticker, and so it grew and grew and grew. And I never intended to start an online store, but you know,
there it was.
We had the opportunity and really the need to do it, to get stickers outside the U.S. And so it's been, I don't know, 80,000 stickers we printed now. You know, it's just crazy, and we've come up with all kinds of variations and, you know, very tribe-like, you know, inside joke kind of things that only bass players are going to get.
Yeah, because this is like your secret handshake.
Right.
This is you're part of the club. You know, you've got, this is a way that you can, you know, be in on it.
Right.
And so what's the future for No Treble? Where are things headed? Where would you like things to go?
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. You know, I go to concerts, I get backstage passes. You know, it's
I guess
it's my lab. You know, I think as long as we stay the course of, you know, the quality of the content is super important. You know, keeping that spirit of, we're never going to get too big for our readers. You know, we're always going to feature our readers. You know, and we're always going to facilitate ways for them to connect and, you know, wear the badge and do the things that they do. You know, the landscape keeps changing. You know, SEO is changing now. Social's changed a while back. You know, we're focusing more on email now, and segmented email that's really saved us. And I think that's the key. You know, like, you can't just say, well, Facebook was great for us for all this time. You know, like, it's not going to be. You know, it's just not going to be, and so you have to pivot. You know, not to say you ignore Facebook anymore, because it's still valuable. It's just not as valuable as it used to be, and so you have to, you know, unless you want to lose that chunk of traffic and engagement, you have to start thinking about how else can I connect. So I think, you know, certainly for us, that was a shift in email, which we really kind of buried, you know, for a long time, because I was like, I hate email. I hate email newsletters, you know. But they're working. And
but they're effective.
It was trial and error, and we've got it right now. And so that, thank goodness, you know. And I think that's the thing. Just keep paying attention to all the signals, and you know, because if they don't like our content, we're dead. If we can't reach them, we're dead. You know. So there's a lot of things involved here. And I think that what was beneficial, when you asked how long did it take to do an online store or sponsorship, when I was tiny, at the beginning, you know, I was like, we can't focus on revenue. We can't focus on advertising. Nobody's going to want to advertise. We're tiny,
which probably
right?
seems crazy now, right?
Yeah, but it was so small. It's like, we have to focus on what matters so that we have a chance of being big. Because if we put out quality content and we do these tactics and we connect these people, then later the sponsors will come to us, you know, and the online store was ready-made to be dropped in. I'll never forget, we launched the store, and I closed the office for the day at 5 o'clock. We went over to a bar to have happy hour, and I watched the emails. Purchase, purchase, purchase. You know, we just launched T-shirts, you know, for the first time, and made for a very happy hour.
Maybe I should sell T-shirts for association chat. I don't know. Stickers. I should do it. So I want to thank you for talking with us today about the No Treble story, for sharing your story about community. And I think if I've learned anything from, I've learned a lot, but if there's any one big lesson I want to take from this, it's this. It's that you have to turn your listening up to 11 along with your bass.
That's right.
Right. So thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening to this special association chat all about community. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.